Assalamu alaikum ji. Welcome back to an episode of Kahe, Kazi. My guest today was Faryal Zuberi. Faryal is a software engineer. We get to speaking about the inclusivity of the tech community in Pakistan, about women empowerment struggles generally, about using nuanced language to describe our experiences, about the sanctity of experiences, and about unplugging sometimes and smelling the roses, as it were. Enjoy. 3, 2, 1. Faryal Zuberi. Oh, mid sip. That's great. This is a wonderful way to start this.
What's up?
How you doing, Faryal?
I'm good. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. Let's start with an introduction of what you're doing. क्योंकि नहीं तो नाराज हो जाते हैं. I would just get into a conversation, but just an introduction to what you're doing right now with your startup.
Right.
And then, yeah.
With my own startup?
No. आप जो काम कर रहे हो.
Okay, right. So, I currently have 2 jobs. Like my day job, I work at a startup. It's a software house.
Okay.
And I work as a senior software engineer.
Okay.
So it's just a bit of programming, managing projects, deliveries, client deliveries. That's
Normal
about
चीजें
it.
जो होती है. मुझे पता है.
Yeah. And then I have been working on another startup on the side. But again, it's software, so it's still tech. But again, it's something that's upcoming.
And you're not at liberty to talk about it.
No. It's launched now.
Okay.
It's called Bright Education. So it's an online learning platform. And so it recently launched back in March.
So tell me about this Bright Education thing.
So basically, it's just an online learning platform for O-level students. We recorded some content. It's edtech. So there are a lot of upcoming ventures in edtech in this tech space. So we're one of them.
Okay.
And all of them have different learning models. So for example, there's Noon Academy, and then there is. So I mean, it all started back in the day with Khan Academy, right?
Sure. Yeah. That was the progenitor.
Yeah. So everybody's followed suit since then, and I think because of COVID, a lot of teachers and generally people have taken, sort of gone towards the digital space.
This route, yeah. Is it आपका paid है?
Right now, because we launched, it's a freemium model, but eventually we'll go towards paid. We'll monetize it.
Like there'll be a paywall, yeah. All of it will be paid, like.
No, it's going to be sort of like a subscription model. So if you within the free model, you have limited access to certain features, and then you upgrade. Yeah.
Fantastic. And then the other one that you're working on, वो उसका क्या scene है?
My day job?
Yeah.
No, so that's just basically normal, a software house. So we develop software for different clients, for different projects. We have an in-house product. It's just your basic programming.
Basic क्या? मुझे तो नहीं पता है ना. किसको बता रही हो basic?
I'm sure the audience knows
no
about
one
software.
No. Okay. What percentage do you think of people generally understand how software works? We don't.
Yeah, you're right, actually.
Welcome to our meeting.
Yeah,
we don't.
Yeah. That is true.
What is
It is like a black box for people, right? So on the surface of it, they understand what's happening, but yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I understand what Instagram is. I don't know how it works.
Right.
That's really complex.
So which is funny because I can actually think back to a time when I did not know how it works. So I can relate, which is weird because now I have that knowledge. A lot of times what happens is when you gain knowledge in a space, you forget what it was like not to know.
Sure. Your ignorance. You forget ignorance.
Sorry?
You forget ignorance.
Yeah, but I haven't. Strange, right? Probably because you can never have like complete 100% knowledge when it comes to the tech domain. Like you specialize. So even for us, even for programmers, a lot of things are still black boxes. So you're specialized in your own domain, but everything else, it's like those are black boxes for us also.
Fair enough, sure.
Yeah.
Aapka in the tech is that so the tech community,
right.
is that a thing? Tech community in
sure.
Pakistan. How have we found that? Is it because internationally the tech community generally is very accepting, very inclusive, very
right.
It's a meritocracy. यहाँ पे ऐसा scene है?
There's not a lot of diversity. So
in terms of
I think
gender?
in terms of gender.
Yeah.
generally also I feel like just I don't see a lot of diversity. You see like a certain profile of a typical programmer. They're more introverted. You see fewer extroverts out there. So I think I won't say that they're not accepting or inclusive. They probably are, but I generally I think the trend is that a certain stereotype tends to sort of be driven towards this field, right?
Gravitate towards it.
Yeah,
Sure,
so
sure,
they
sure.
gravitate towards this.
So in A levels, I think you and I had the same subjects. Economics वगैरह था, है ना?
We had econ in common, but I had physics, chem, and maths.
Oh yeah, of course,
right?
yeah. And then
Yeah.
how did you jump from that to programming? How did that happen?
So because I had physics, chem, and maths, so I was already pre-engineering.
Okay.
And I did study electrical electronic engineering at an undergrad level.
Okay.
So I pursued. I always knew that I wanted to do something with engineering. I wanted to actually study like physics, just plain old physics.
Full scientist.
Yeah. I don't know. I've always had this notion since I was a child that
To
I
understand
wanted.
how the world works.
Yes,
Okay,
basically, I was
cool.
curious,
Okay.
and physics was my favorite subject always. I was good at maths, but I loved physics.
Sahi.
However, I did not have the opportunity to study it at.
Why?
I think at the advice of my dad actually, because he said, "Kya karoge physics padh ke professor banoge."
So then it's a financial decision then?
Not just that. I mean, of course, he always encouraged me to pursue whatever,
Yeah, sure.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, even my field right now, it's not very
No, you're not gonna.
commonplace, right?
Yeah.
So he always encouraged me. In fact, but I think when he did like sort of say that had me thinking, okay, so what else? If I cannot build a career in this, I need to explore this scientific curiosity inside of me. So I thought, why not engineering? And because that is the application of science, right?
Sure.
And it's more practical.
Sure.
So if I have to be more practical, then that is the route to take.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then electrical engineering made sense to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then from there, how'd you get all the way to coding?
Yes. So we did study some computer engineering modules
Okay.
as well as part of my degree. And so there was a bit of programming in my degree because it was a double major, right? Electrical.
Malaysia.
Yeah.
Nottingham. Yeah,
So
okay.
we don't call them that, but think of it as a double major.
Sure, yeah.
Right? So the electronic part of it, there was a lot of embedded computing and like programming, low-level programming and high-level. So yeah, a lot of nerd talk going on.
No, just go talk, dude. Come on, relax. It's जिसको नहीं समझ आएगी उसको नहीं समझ आएगी.
Say.
Yeah.
So so from there I was actually interested and I was good at it.
Okay.
Right?
That's good.
Yeah. I felt like I could pick it up quickly. So I worked as an electrical engineer after graduation for a year. Right? So I worked at NESBOG. But I felt like that I wasn't able to contribute as much. I was doing consultancy work. There were 3 big projects as well. There were government projects. I worked on, these mega power plants.
No, sure. Yeah.
But it wasn't creative work.
No,
A.
I can't imagine.
Also, because we were just consultants, we didn't have a lot of say in the design and the execution. There was a lot of paperwork, so I got bored of it. Right? It wasn't actually fun engineering that we learned in
Sure.
university.
Sure.
So I'm like, okay. And maybe that's a lot to do with how in Pakistan also women aren't allowed to go into the field. Like they took us on 1 or 2 visits, but we couldn't actually stay there. When the
Right,
machinery
yeah.
was actually procured
Yeah.
and commissioned on the field, we weren't there to see it.
No.
Yeah. So I think that was a little bit of a setback for me. And that made me realize that if I really want to 100% participate in this field, like I won't ever be able to do that.
Not in Pakistan. No.
No.
बाहर हो जाता है.
Yeah, bahir maybe. So khair, I mean, I just accepted that, and then I thought about it, and I'm like, okay, but I don't want to move away from this completely. So I took like 3 to 4 months off after my first year working. And yeah, it just came to me that
Yeah.
this is what I want to do. I liked programming.
You want to talk to computers?
Yes, I want to talk
Because
to
you hate
computers.
people.
Yeah.
Yes, for that reason. लोग जो है फजूल होते हैं. नहीं यार, I think it's brilliant, and I think it's as a industry, it's definitely coming up, right? It's दुनिया में तो आई गई है, लेकिन यहाँ पे भी
Yeah, I wouldn't even say coming up. The market is saturated now. There's
Saturated.
So many, I mean, there's so many people, like so many graduates of computer science in
Yeah.
Karachi only, right?
Yeah.
So many people out there doing
saturated
it.
हो गई. That's not good.
Yeah, because
How do you fix that though? Like, should
I mean, maybe saturated is not the right word. What I mean to say is कोई कमी नहीं है developers की या
नहीं.
programmers की.
नहीं.
हाँ, अच्छे programmers की ज़रूर
Okay,
है.
all right, yeah, and all the people
Right?
who जो मेरे जैसे लोगों को जो है full बना के चले जाते हैं.
What do you mean?
So I got a website made. I'm not gonna take his name, but after the podcast I will tell you. It cost me quite a bit
Yeah.
to make a website. I'm also not gonna quote the figure. That also I will tell you after the podcast. But it was just ridiculous for the amount of work. It's a WordPress website,
Oh, okay.
right? And he charged me a, मतलब substantial amount.
It's a money-making business like any other, right?
यार,
And
लेकिन-
plus,
हाँ.
again, same thing. क्योंकि black box that you don't really know what you're paying for. You don't know the effort you're paying for, right?
Right.
Okay, you know WordPress. How many people know how easy it is to
Yeah.
set up a WordPress website?
And that's what forced
Yeah.
me to do it. Then I was like, yeah, अच्छा, it's कितनी फारसी है ये? And then I actually went into it and I'm like, okay. So that happened.
Acha, the flip side also happens, right? Okay, so there, obviously, some people are misled and end up paying a lot more for a lot less effort and work. And then there are some clients that are like, बस इतना ही तो है, यही तो करना है, इसमें machine learning लगा दे, इसमें ये कर दे, वो कर दे.
okay, yeah.
So actually, because of that knowledge gap between the client and the developers, it can go either way.
Sure. Fair enough. Yeah. ये तो उसमें भी होता है ना अपना. So the other thing that I do is photography and videography. उसमें भी ये होता है ना कि हाँ एक ही तो clip बनानी है. भाई मेरे आप बना लो फिर. You know.
There you go.
It's not. Also, like people need to understand that when they're paying you, they're not just paying you for the task. They're paying you for those years that you've taken away.
Yeah, I read this somewhere also.
इसके economics of labor market में पढ़ते थे ना हम क्या बोलते हैं इसको. Education is basically
Yeah.
you.
Basically, if it takes me 10 minutes to do it, then you're not paying me for the 10 minutes.
No.
You're paying me for the 10 years that I learned how to do
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. Cool, yaar. But okay, so coding generally it's not as inclusive. It's not on no error of the industry or the community. There's just not enough people gravitating towards it.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I don't think it's as if the community is not accepting or inclusive,
No.
right?
So
Yeah.
is that bad though? Like traditional gender roles and all those still enforced to some degree, वो तो बुरी बात है. But अगर ख़वातीन नहीं gravitate कर रही हैं.
Okay, I'll tell you why. If the gender gap perhaps is because of the fact that you work a lot of long hours and you work on premises, and obviously in this country that is a problem.
It's a problem, yeah.
There are a lot of hardworking women out there, right,
Of
who come
course.
from middle class families,
Sure.
but they're not able to stay beyond, let's say, 6 p.m. in an office, right? And naturally, the industry is such that they're discriminated against sometimes, and I've been a witness to that. Even though it's a very covert discrimination, it's not as if someone's saying it out loud, but they have this in the back of their mind. Oh, ये तो late sitting नहीं कर सकती. हमारा काम तो late sitting होता है. And the thing is, same thing in, let's say, marketing space, right? But you see a lot of women coming from maybe, higher socioeconomic backgrounds in the marketing space. So it's not the same for computer science and programming,
because it's not
right?
sexy,
and engineering,
no?
right? Yeah, maybe it's not
yeah.
sexy, right?
Why would you gravitate towards
So-
working on a computer?
So generally, I think the mean of the people, like the socioeconomic mean, is on the lower end for this field, right?
Sahi.
So obviously, people are coming from more conservative backgrounds.
ठीक है.
The back of the mind, there is more conservatism that late sitting nahi kar sakti, and it is a reality for a lot of women. Even though I've seen such hardworking women in this field, and even if they can't stay back in office, they go home, they come online, and they do the work, right? But I'm not saying there are people that get कोई active discrimination हो रही है,
नहीं.
but back of the mind ये होता है.
यार देखो अच्छा इस वाली discrimination इसको बोलेंगे but it's not really, and it is gender based, but you can't really call them out on it क्योंकि उनको काम करवाना है अपना. तो आखिर में
Yeah.
ये मसला है ना. they're like कि भाई मेरा काम करके दो, अगर आप बैठ सकते होते तो आप आ जाओ, नहीं तो I'm gonna have to go for a guy who might not be as
Yeah.
talented but he'll do my work now. But you said they can work from home, तो फिर क्या issue है?
Yeah, but अब ये होने लगा है ना.
Hmm.
Acha, and I've seen and I've noticed this a lot, and now that I'm sort of in the middle management layer compared to earlier years in my career.
अच्छा middle management. क्या बात है.
Yeah, समझ लिया.
आप समझ देखिए आप गुरु नहीं किया कभी. हाँ, बड़ा sorry. Yeah.
So I feel like, so now that I'm in the recruiter role and I'm in the shoes of a recruiter, I feel like a lot of fresh grads, women that are coming into this field, gravitate towards quality assurance, project management, things that perhaps are expected to be more women centric.
All right. Okay.
Now, I don't know what the reason is for this, right? This is my own evaluation.
हाँ, आप करो भाई, कोई मसला ही नहीं है.
Now, perhaps there's more pressure on the developer as opposed to less pressure on the QA, right?
Well, there
to
is
deliver.
ना, वो तो हाँ, that makes sense, no?
So maybe that's why they feel like, they're more comfortable. And again, typically the career life cycle of, women coming from these backgrounds, it's lesser, right?
Because of marriage and stuff?
Because of marriage, right?
That's a problem. That's something that needs to be solved, right?
Yeah, I mean, sure. Again, I have seen women. I'm working with a very accomplished woman in this field right now. She's a professor also. She has a 6-month-old baby.
MashaAllah.
And she's working from home. And she shows up at the office when she needs to. It's just a few hours a week, but she's getting the job done.
What?
She's a powerhouse. So it's not like it can't be done, right?
But that's an exception, ना. Problem ये है ना कि we want that to be the norm. मुश्किल है, ज़ाहिर है. But अच्छा, बहुत माज़रत के साथ मैं उनको नहीं जानता हूँ. But is she like our age?
No, she's obviously like 10 years older. Maybe.
10 years older, okay. Generally मैंने ये देखा है, people who are millennials, we are ये मैं हर podcast में बोलता हूँ ये मैं. They are.
She's probably younger, by the way. I don't know. I should be saying she's 10 years older.
10 years. 10 साल ज़्यादा बड़ी हमसे. बच्चा है उसका. तो बस तक फार अब कितने बड़े हैं.
What I mean to say is she's been in the field for 10 years.
Okay, wow.
Okay, that's what
awesome.
I meant to say. I'm pretty sure she's not 10 years older than
that's
me.
cool, irrespective. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, 10 साल. But yeah, so millennials generally are more beholden to societal imperatives and parental messages.
Sorry, repeat that again.
So one more time. Okay. So
One more time.
one more time. Societal imperatives, माने लोग क्या कहेंगे वगैरह. Generally, we are more beholden to it, and parental messages as well. कि यार
Are
वालिदैन
millennials compared to Gen Z?
compared to Gen Z, yeah. नाराज नहीं हो
Sure,
जाएंगे
yeah,
वो.
of course.
And so the
Because
graduates,
we were also parenting Gen Z in a way.
we were parenting Gen Z or were we parenting the boomers?
Both, I think.
सबको.
Yeah.
तभी तो हम थक गए
As
बीच
the
में.
older cousins and the older siblings, we were parenting
Yeah.
like the Gen Z generation, and then with boomers, as kids, we were parenting.
Yeah, parenting them, यार. हाँ, सही बात
Yeah.
है. बहुत लकी हैं वो लोग जिनके हाँ माशाल्लाह. What's it called? But so the people that you're recruiting, are they generally Gen Z?
Yeah, now of course, fresh grads are.
हाँ,
Yeah.
तो उनमें आप ये notice करते हो ये disparity जो आपने अभी you said that there was this disparity between men and women maybe in your generation or a little older. वो उनमें है?
Perhaps it's still there. I think it's again, I wouldn't call it disparity because it's not as if anyone is stopping these women. They're graduating in the same field as these men, right?
Yes.
But they don't even pursue it.
ये जॉर्डन पीटरसन को आप जानती हैं?
जी बहुत अच्छे से.
दोस्त.
दोस्त
मैं तो उन्हीं के शहर से आपको पता है, आपको तो पता है. तो well, he had this argument
Right.
against the gender pay gap, na? When you say gender pay gap, meaning if you and I were in the same or what the implication is that if you and I were in the same industry, you'd get paid less. But ऐसा नहीं होता है. Actually, ऐसा नहीं होता है.
Right.
Right.
Okay. So obviously, I have read about the
his argument.
rebuttal to, and I'm sure I've seen some of his videos on YouTube about that. I haven't read a lot of his work.
Yeah.
But I have seen some.
यार आप बोलो, आप क्यों pretext ना दो, आप बोलो.
हाँ नहीं, मैं
तबाह कर दो
वैसे ही.
उनको, बर्बाद कर दो.
So I'm not here to like call him out or be like cancel Jordan.
No. वो वैसे हो गया बेचारा.
But what I'm trying to say is that sure there is a rebuttal out there that there's no such thing as the pay gap and it's because it's an average figure, and it doesn't take into account like some fields pay higher than others, right? And some fields might have a higher gender disparity, like you mentioned.
His argument is कि भाई ये जो है इसलिए ये जो pay gap है, this exists because women just don't want to go into those fields that pay more, right? To some degree गलत भी नहीं बोल रहा ना, मसला ये है ना.
No, so I mean, which fields is he talking about?
आप जैसे अभी हम बात कर रहे हैं, this is a
What are the higher paying fields that he's talking about?
the ones that he's talking about are probably
Like law?
doctors.
Women don't pursue.
No, they do, right? They do.
Yeah.
But after a while, वही जैसे आपने भी बोला कि they, because of marriage or child rearing or whatever,
Right.
they have to, pull back. That is a problem. But इनका ख्याल ये था, जॉर्डन भाई का अपने, कि on average, the gender pay gap exists. First off, it's not. If you and I were in the same...
in the same field, working the same job, working the same hours,
you and I would be getting paid the
we would
same.
be paid the same.
Yeah.
I have not seen. Okay, again, when they speak about the, wage gap, a lot of things that come up are obviously relevant to the U.S. Right? We don't have statistics over here, so I can't really comment on his generalization or what loopholes he's.
No. Of course.
Yeah. I can't really comment on that. I can only comment on my own experience of it because there are no numbers out there.
For Pakistan, no.
For Pakistan, for the different fields. And I'm sure there are inhibitions in place for women to, sort of pursue things,
of course.
Their careers in the way that, not in the same way that a man could, basically.
100%. You
So
just
it's
said,
not
na?
about that the employer is actively discriminating against the woman. In some cases, probably that could be the
बिल्कुल
case.
होता है, हाँ.
If that's not the case, it's more about societal expectations. That is our problem, right?
लोग
So
क्या
we
कहेंगे,
should
yeah.
talk about what's relevant to us.
Yeah. लोग क्या कहेंगे?
And what's relevant to us is, log kya kahenge, and also societal expectations. This is what you're supposed to do, right? Again, gender roles.
But even then, you think अभी तक ये जो Gen Z है, they're still beholden to that stuff.
Perhaps there's a shift, but I'm not sure about. Again, like I said, I work in a field where I still am dealing with a lot of conservatism, right? Not too extreme.
नहीं.
Yeah.
नहीं.
But, compared to maybe perhaps other fields that and other guests you have on this show.
Sure, yeah.
Right? So maybe they've seen a lot more of a liberal mindset in the workplace. I have not.
Is conservatism bad?
It's not bad.
No, it's not a
Says
problem.
who?
I've spoken to some people at length about this, and inherently they understand conservatism to be bad because it functions on absolute principles. But absolute principles also are not the worst thing in the world.
No, principles and a moral compass give us, a foundation and a set of guidelines to, adhere to.
Yeah. लेकिन ये है कि ज़ाहिर है फिर extremism उसी से आता है, तो ऐसे तो मतलब हिटलर भी नीचे के
No, but I think liberalism can be extreme also.
Yeah, I had Zarar Khoro Saab, he said this. He's like, हाँ, they can be, but वो extreme से extreme होके भी आपको cancel कर देंगे. They won't blow up your car, ना. एक ये फर्क होता है, and that's why
Right.
conservative extremists are a little more of a problem, I think.
Agreed.
But ये आपका conservatism पे फिर ये problem, if it's just a normal conservative,
Yeah.
right? फिर ये मसला आता है कि अब जैसे औरत मार्च है.
Right.
I had a guest recently comment on the औरत मार्च कि भाई this is not our culture, and this is against our religion, right? And she got quite a bit of flack.
Oh, someone said this on your podcast?
हाँ.
Did you call her out?
मतलब मैंने बोला नहीं देखो, it's not my. I don't because the way she said it.
Yeah.
Because the way she said it, she was actually trying. I think she was trying to understand it. I reasoned with her. क्या देखो ठीक है चलो, some of it, if you think it's problematic, sure it's problematic. Maybe
Right.
they shouldn't be dancing if it offends your sensibilities, but then don't watch, na. Don't watch the dance. Maybe think about what it symbolizes. Later on, someone explained that to me. कि, so one of the things she had a problem with was कि इस वाले औरत मार्च पे शलवार और कमीज टंगाई हुई थी और इसके नीचे ये लोग नाच रहे थे. Now when you give me that,
Right.
when you give me that rendition, I'm like, हाँ यार शलवार कमीज टंगा के नाच रहे थे तो ये तो, you know.
What did the shalwar kameez
represent?
Yeah,
It represented something. It represented उस शलवार कमीज पे सारे sexual assault victims के अब खाम खाए sexual assault victims के सारे वो नाम लिखे हुए थे and ages के साथ.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
It changes everything. So maybe, look into it a little bit. And again, the problem isn't...
And I think the idea about dancing and to do this openly is to actually offend, right? It's to
Yes.
offend, but in a way to reclaim power,
Yes,
right?
yes,
That
yes,
we
yes.
have the right to offend you
Yes.
because we're sort of tired of just raising voice or sort of, trying to argue through dialogue. And all of those mediums have been tried and tested, and now we're exhausted, and therefore now it's just the middle finger.
It's the middle finger, exactly,
Like,
right?
just fuck you. Am I allowed to drop
Yeah,
it?
yeah, you
Oh,
can,
okay,
you can.
cool.
मतलब
Yeah.
हाँ कर ले.
कोई नहीं देख रहा है
नहीं,
इसके 10
कोई-
views आने हैं
कोई नहीं देखेगा.
पिछले 5 मिनट में they're going to be like she's talking about coding, this is boring.
This is नहीं यार छोड़ो ना. It's boring until it's not. And the thing is,
Right.
eventually people are going to try and figure it out.
Okay.
Coding as well, na? What's it called? But she was, and again the thing is that the lady I'm talking about, Kinjer
Yeah.
Koso, she's a powerhouse too. She runs 2 charities exclusively for females. She is herself in the real estate business, which is again not very female friendly.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So she's doing all this great work, and I was just like, yeah, of all the people that have come on to the podcast, I probably wasn't expecting you to be a staunch opponent. She's like, I'm not a staunch opponent of the Aurat March. I just don't agree with it. Like, जो जमात इस्लामी वाली हुई थी, वो ठीक थी. मैंने वो यार, but you understand the point or the problem is कि it, like you said, part of the goal is to offend. Even if not offend, it's to be abrasive. It's to shake people awake.
Yeah.
You know, आप नींद से उठाना चाह रहे हो मुआशरे को.
It needs that shock value, right?
Yeah,
It
and sensibilities will be
Yeah.
offended. जैसे अगर मैं offend हो रहा हूँ, maybe there's nothing wrong with me taking offense, or maybe it's latent misogyny. I'll have to look into it, ना? जैसे, for instance, अभी भी अगर आप मेरे से पूछोगे, if I was allowed to, एक तो I'm not allowed to go, but if I was allowed to go to the Aurat March, I probably wouldn't go.
Right.
I
So
prob-
because you don't 100% agree with it.
I don't see, I don't agree with it 100%, right? Again, that's just stuff for me to figure out on my own. Like sit
Right.
and think about, कि, अच्छा इस पे क्या मुझे मसला किधर है? ठीक है
But
तो
I do believe everyone has a right to their opinion, right? Even if she
course.
disagreed with it,
yeah,
that is her right.
yeah, and that's what she said.
You can't force someone to agree with
No,
you.
yaar, then you become what you've been fighting, na?
Yeah.
Then you become what you've been fighting. But my problem is, can you be a conservative and still be for the Aurat March? I would hope that you can.
Sure. Why not?
Well, I mean, she didn't think you could. Because, again, the thing is, she was, I suppose, establishing a monopoly or monopolizing
Yeah.
religion and culture like that.
I feel like a lot of conservative voices feel as if liberal voices hijack the women's movement, right? That's
you
probably
feel-
what they feel.
ऐसा है? बताओ आप औरत होने के
ये
नाते
क्या? नहीं, मैं
सब
नहीं।
सब औरतों का जवाब दो.
I cannot speak for all women.
Why are you being so? बताए.
I cannot speak for all women.
अबे यार. ऐसे अच्छा नहीं पर in your experience ऐसा है?
I feel like I'm not going to talk about the feminist movement in general.
No,
I'm
no.
a feminist,
Of
right?
course.
And of course, I've participated in the Aurat March, and I
ये
believe
last वाली?
no, not last one, क्योंकि COVID चल रहा था.
Let's be safe. Let's be reasonable now.
I think it was the पहले वाली.
हाँ.
Of course, I participated. At the same time, though, I would say that whenever I feel like there is a movement and there are different people coming together, there will be some who are at the forefront, right?
They're just more prominent. क्या
Yeah,
करेगा आप?
who will always be more prominent. So, I mean, that's just generally what happens when a group of people come together,
Sure,
right?
sure.
Right? As diverse as they are, it's bound to happen.
Yeah.
So, maybe that's what they feel. Maybe that's what conservative women feel. Okay, they don't have the shock value, right?
They really don't. ये मसला तो है ना लंबे
तो-
कुर्ते and दुपट्टे वगैरह. The thing is,
That's not what I meant.
No, but
that's not what I
that's what I'm
meant.
saying. That's what I'm saying. No, कि that's
what you're saying.
That's palatable. No?
Yeah.
But it is palatable. कि हाँ यार यहाँ तक ठीक है. यार देखो हाँ वहाँ तक ठीक है. Me personally, I love propriety and I love whatever decency, cultural idea of decency is. I love all that stuff. Having said that, ये मैं अपने तक ही रख सकता हूँ ना. अगर दूसरा बंदा नहीं कर रहा है उसके जबरदस्ती थोड़ी है. मैं ज़्यादा क्या बोलूँगा यार मुझे नहीं अच्छा लग रहा. Cool. अब आप घर में बैठे. नहीं अच्छा लग रहा नहीं अच्छा लगे. 2 रोटी एक्स्ट्रा खा लेना. But that's what it is, ना. So
I mean, isn't that what tolerance is?
यार पता है क्या? I think yes.
What is the meaning of being tolerant?
It is to entertain an opposing viewpoint without accepting it. Tolerance.
Okay, there
Gotcha.
you go. So
No
then
worries.
you're being tolerant.
Then I'm being tolerant, right?
Okay.
And that's the difference between being tolerant and being accepting. जबरदस्ती कभी कभार ये हो जाती है कि accept करो. Accept करने की जरूरत नहीं है. You and I can disagree.
Yeah.
Disagreements are a beautiful thing because we don't have to kill each other. Right? But
Agreed.
the minute आप जो है
But I think the problem arises when people who I feel like that maybe conservative people feel as if the liberal voice will somehow influence the way their children
which
are
is
influenced
true,
or
which
grow
is
up,
right. Yeah.
and then that's why they want to shut it down because they think like nahi hamare bacche kharab ho jayenge, right? So how do you tell them to be tolerant of the fact that their kids might oppose their views?
That's a hard one, right? That's
Right?
right.
So that is being truly tolerant
Yeah.
when you don't accept it for yourself, but you accept the fact that maybe your kids won't have the same opinion as you.
यार ये fear भी सही है ना because again like we said वो जो liberal point of view है वो इतना sexy होता है इतनी shock value होती है उसमें बच्चे तो ज़ाहिर है gravitate करते हैं ना कि यार ये अच्छी चीज़ है ना ज़्यादा than whatever this is. So are they completely wrong then? But I suppose they're wrong in wanting to impose their views on a kid.
But there you go. And again, that's not strictly just people, conservative thought.
No.
Everybody wants to do that,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
They want to raise their kids in a certain way and impose their
Yeah.
thought process on them.
Huh.
So any kind of outside influence is going to bother them.
So then फिर आप ये बोल रही हो कि सब औरतें जो हैं
कुछ नहीं बोल रही हूँ इसके सिर्फ 10 व्यूज आ रहे हैं मेरे जहन में ये है
10 व्यूज में भी कोई एक देख ले बस देख लो आप सब औरतें जो होती हैं आप बोल रही हैं कि वो लिबरल होती हैं और अगर कंजर्वेटिव होती हैं तो वो गलत होती हैं
मैंने ये कब कहा
ये said that.
When did I say that?
That's what she said. You didn't say that. I'm just at this point you didn't say that, but I see it. I see the problem that the
all I'm
conservatives
saying
would
is
have.
that what is we need to define what being tolerant is.
Yeah, we just did. Yeah, that's what tolerant is. कि आप
No, but are you agreeing that if you don't agree, you're okay with somebody dressing a certain way, somebody talking a certain way?
You have to be, no?
Right, you have to
yeah.
be. Would you be okay with your daughter?
That's yeah.
See, this is my question to you. That is tolerance.
No, I don't know. अभी तक
So
है नहीं.
this is the test of tolerance for any parent.
Oh, man
I think,
especially,
of
right?
Any person, sure, a man even.
Yeah.
It goes the other way around also. That, for example,
कैसे मतलब?
a liberal parent raises somebody who says, no, I want to be conservative now. I'm voting Trump.
I'm voting Trump. That would be very interesting, especially in the Pakistani
Yeah.
context. You have a liberal parent. मेरे बाबा को ये मसला था मेरे साथ. For the longest time when I'd grow a beard out, he just be like, यार मुल्ला नहीं बन जाना. He used to say that to me, and the thing is कि I just had a beard. मतलब उसमें I don't know.
So I think
मुल्ला तो मैं नहीं बना खैर.
it's really hard to define tolerance because we do feel some kind of ownership of our immediate surroundings and family.
Sure.
We want them to think like us.
Sure.
So maybe we're tolerant of someone outside. But if that outside voice somehow seeps through into our homes, we're not okay with that.
No, we're not okay with that. Or I don't know but then should we be okay with that? But if we're not okay with it, are we thinking that we have it right, that we have everything figured out? ये भी तो
Then
मसला है ना.
there you go.
Yeah.
I think at some level you should be okay with it. To be truly tolerant.
Yeah.
Or maybe you should raise your kids in a way to actually, I think, make up their own minds.
Exactly. To have that critical faculty, वो तो नहीं है. at least I was never encouraged to have critical thought. No one ever was. Not in our generation. No one ever was. Okay, by generalization है चलो.
Yeah.
लेकिन most people weren't कि यार आप think things through critically. ये कुछ चीज़ें तो understood थी. हाँ हम कर देंगे. ये चीज़ तो वो थी ना आपकी. सही है.
हाँ ठीक है.
किसने बोला था आपको आप जैकेट पहन के आते? हमारा ऐसे कम करा दिया यहाँ पे ऐसे heat wave के बीच में.
Yeah, seriously.
It's hot outside, dude. I think it was supposed to be 40 degrees.
Today.
Yeah.
What's the humidity though?
पता नहीं.
I never check the temperature anymore. I check the humidity.
भाई मैं scientist नहीं हूँ.
That's what I'm interested in.
सिर्फ एक वो नंबर था उसने बोला 40 है मैंने बोला.
अच्छा humidity जानने से scientist बन जाते हैं.
No,
पहले बता रहा था.
ये आप इतने details में मुझसे पूछे मुझे थोड़ी पता है इतने details. पहले बोलिए मैं Red Bull से राब्ता कर लूँ मुझे क्या पता Red Bull कैसे राब्ता होगा?
क्या मतलब?
Just go get in touch with them on Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Basically or Facebook. And Red Bull Pakistan.
नहीं मैं
किसी
तो
और Red Bull के बोना पहुंच जाना.
मैं तो इंटरनेशनल बोला हुआ है देखिए मुझे भी इंग्लिश बात करना आती है बस अब दे दें आप.
Full English.
Full. Did you? So I didn't want to talk to you about this conservative stuff. I think we'll just go around, but we have established at least K.
I'm not walking on eggshells around this topic.
No.
Change the topic.
I will. So we know at least this much. K.
Yeah.
Tolerance is primal. It's primary, right? You need tolerance.
Yeah, sure.
है ना? Yeah, sure. जो भी बोलो. You went to Malaysia for a decent while. 3-4 साल. 2 साल. How'd you get done in 2 years?
No, because my second year was in England.
Oh, right. England. How was the decision? Because this is, again, something that I've faced it, obviously. People face it generally, going abroad and then coming back. My stay was a little more prolonged. Khawateen khas taur pe are faced with this decision. Ki yaar, do I want to go back? How was that for you?
Honestly, I missed home.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really a thought for me.
Not even a thought. कि यार यहाँ रह जाओ यहाँ freedoms हैं सब कुछ है.
I miss Malaysia.
Sure.
And yeah, at some point in my life, I would like to live abroad and have the same liberties that I enjoyed there. But I don't think there's anything that maybe I'm privileged that I don't think I come from a background where I'm,
oppressed.
Yeah.
In any such way.
Yeah. Not to say that there aren't what do you call it? Your everyday sexism or your casual sexism
your
going
casual
around
sexism
me.
तो होता है,
Yeah, which I'm surrounded with. But I don't think there's anything that's making me feel like, I need to get out or I'm suffocated. Do you get it? I have my pull and I use it to my advantage.
Yeah.
And
नहीं ये तो ठीक है.
And of course that's probably me sounding horribly privileged.
We are privileged as long as we're cognizant, but उसके अलावा बात कैसे होती है? So we're cognizant of the fact that there's privilege here, but
cognizant is your favorite word. I've noticed.
Cognizant?
Yeah,
it's one of them.
Yeah.
एक हमारे वो है.
हर episode में तो एक
मैं
make
बात
a drinking game out of this. I've हर दफा तुम Red Bull. जब भी तुम
drinking क्या? पाकिस्तान में ये नहीं होते काम पर यार.
मैं एक सिप लूँगी.
Okay.
हाँ जब भी तुम
I should get you more Red Bulls then. ऐसा नहीं होगा. लेकिन so there's these wonderful guys who do the broadcast podcast. They're based in Canada, but they do it. They do it online. Wonderful setup. And one of the brothers, he does an impression of me. It's wonderful because that's all he does. He just goes cognizant, metacognition.
Oh,
Privilege.
Really?
Yeah, it's
I'm so happy.
I'm so happy. कोई मजाक उड़ा रहा है. सही है यार. पर हम क्या बात
But
करते
also they noticed the same thing that I did. So even in your spoof,
even in my spoof, you
they
were
picked
right.
up the same word.
Yeah. No, cognizant. How I got so cognizant. There was this friend of mine, Max, in Canada, and very बहुत बड़ा educated. हाँ?
Canada.
बस भाई देखें हम नॉर्थ अमेरिका में
बड़े
रहते थे.
लोग.
हाँ, बस गोरों के साथ रहे. उनके साथ हाथ मिलाया, खाना खाया.
Right. Privilege.
बिल्कुल. All the अल्लाह माफ करे. तो बहरहाल वो जो है he would use that word, and the way he would use it, I think it really dawned on me कि एक बड़ा it's an academic way of saying I know. That's all it means. is कि हाँ मुझे भी पता है. Cognizant. you want to come off as intelligent.
It's more like being conscious, actually.
Conscious, yeah.
Not no, but
I
more.
was dumbing it down for people.
Dumbing it down for me?
For people. Red Bull भी फेंक के मारना मुझे.
Really?
नहीं. यार मैं क्या बात कर देखा मुझे भुला दिया आपने. I was talking about privilege and then
Right.
coming back. There's been girls who I've spoken to at length कि यार आप वापस आ जाओ, आपकी ज़रूरत है, आप इतनी शानदार हो, पाकिस्तान आ जाओ. They're like नहीं आएंगे, मर के भी नहीं आएंगे, because they're like कि just the simple freedoms of walking on the street.
Sure. Yeah.
You are deprived that here. I think it's
But
fair.
yeah, I agree.
Hannah?
I agree.
Yeah.
However, I do feel like do you walk on the streets?
No. I don't want to be bit by dogs. I don't want to be shot or mugged.
Yeah.
I try not to
Yeah.
walk on the streets. Minimal
Nobody's
walking on the streets.
walking on the streets here.
Minimal walking on the streets. I'll try never to do it.
Which, yes, I do miss. Of course, I miss that.
Yeah.
So it's not just walking on the streets, but generally, I think a certain sense of independence. Of course, in Pakistan, not that I don't love my family, and we live in a family close and knit family unit, and it has its own advantages. But sometimes you miss that
Liberty.
sort of liberty, that independence.
Hmm.
There are pros and cons, man.
Yeah, there are
I
pros
mean,
and-
like, I don't have to cook at home. I don't have to clean.
You don't have to clean. Kapde dhona.
So-
That was a big one for me. Doing my own laundry and cleaning my own toilet.
Yeah.
That was my.
We sound so privileged now.
यार देखो we are ना अब मतलब इसमें क्या है अल्लाह रहम करने वाला है.
Yeah, but I do miss, and I totally understand where those women are coming
Yeah.
from. I'm sure.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, because I sound horribly privileged because I have some pull. If I want to go out, if I want to do something, I have a voice in my house that
Privilege
I
is
can
ज़्यादा,
use.
It's blessed. You're blessed with a good family.
I'm blessed.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. I'm
Yeah.
blessed,
Yeah.
right? So, because they empowered me
Alhamdulillah.
from the beginning,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
That is probably the reason why it's not so much Pakistan. It's more like probably their family that they're running away from.
Yeah, that's exactly right, I think.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. क्योंकि वही होता है ना कि it doesn't matter how well off a family is, वो जो toxic conservatism वाले scene जो होता है वो तो हो जाता है.
Yeah.
With you also, your parents were also themselves not very conservative. Like they were generally,
Yeah. I think they were.
relax करो, chilling करो, कोई मसला नहीं है. काम वाम करो अपना.
I think they probably because they've seen a different Pakistan, and they always used to talk about it in a very nostalgic way. Also,
You think you
growing
got
up,
that?
huh?
You think you inherited some of that nostalgia?
Perhaps.
I think I definitely did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they speak of it like as if it was a different culture altogether. It was
It
a
was
different.
though, I think. जैसे बाबा है मेरे, I speak about Karachi very affectionately. Like it's also very dangerous and scary, but at the same time, it's a city that you love.
Yeah.
तो मेरे बाबा ये बोलते हैं कि बेटा आपने कराची तो देखा ही नहीं. And then he'll start describing the
Yeah.
streets and the culture and the people and you actually feel that nostalgia even though I wasn't alive when this was happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
Like,
you do feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I was alive. I was like 3 years old. Whatever.
Karachi in the 90s was.
Oh yeah, no,
You're
see, I
alive.
was alive. Yeah, Karachi in the 90s was no. That's
Wait,
not.
Kazi, mixing up the timelines here.
Dude, I'm old, man. I drink a lot of energy drinks.
Yeah.
Red Bull doesn't sponsor me. It's all over the place. I'm just all over the place.
Yeah.
What's it called? So okay, so we've spoken about the fact that okay, we may be sounding privileged right now, but you never you were like हाँ भाई वापस आना है.
No, not always. I was missing home, so I came back. There were points where I regretted that.
Coming back?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Because I was missing that sense of independence over there. Also, feeling like there was a setback in my career. That, people of my graduating class probably got into, certain big tech companies. That could have been me. So you do feel that sort of what could have been.
Mm-hmm.
And, missing out on an alternate life.
Right.
So, but at the same time, I think I like being close to my family. And
I think that's a beautiful thing, yeah. I think that's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing, and I think at the end of the day, privilege और कहीं जगह हम इस्तेमाल करें ना करें यहाँ पे बिल्कुल apply होता है. I think it's a beautiful privilege to have a family that isn't in shambles, because far too often will have, especially हमारी generation के जो लोग हैं, या तो वो बर्दाश्त कर करके अंदर दब दब के ख़त्म हो जाते हैं या फिर वो छोड़ के चले जाते हैं. You know, I think it's a beautiful thing to have a family that you can rely on. And मसले हर जगह होते हैं, but like
yeah, obviously. I can't say it's perfect or there's no.
भाई मैं ऐसी जो फिर से कम कर रहा हूँ.
हाँ
आपने
ठीक
जो
है,
ना-
से कर लो.
सही है. 23 सही है.
I'm just gonna have some water.
Okay, you can have water. I'm not gonna edit it out.
That bothers me so
Why
much.
does it? Why would I edit this stuff out? It's just a conversation. कोई ऐसी फजूल बात नहीं बोलना.
इसलिए मैं इतनी फजूल बातें चल रही है.
अभी जो फिर मुझे एडिट करना पड़ेगा.
Psych. जी काजी.
नहीं,
क्या कहेगा काजी?
नहीं, क्या
कहेगा काजी है ना पॉडकास्ट का नाम.
Yeah.
So I'm supposed to be listening to you. क्या कहें?
No, it just came up. हाँ, people do. What's funny is people say the opposite. They're like, तू क्यों बोल रहा है? गेस्ट को बोल लेते.
Also, I feel like you missed the irony of that.
Of क्या कहेगा काजी?
Yeah.
There is irony.
लड़का लड़की राजी.
तो क्या
क्या
कहेगा?
कहेगा काजी?
Yeah.
The काजी's opinion is irrelevant in this.
Yeah, right? That's what I'm saying. Now you've made me feel horrible about all of this. अब मैं क्या करूँ? नहीं.
You totally missed the sentiment.
I did miss the sentiment. And आपको पता है क्या?
Yeah.
I think there was a famous जमात इस्लामी leader. उनके बारे में भी यही बोलते थे, क्या कहेगा काजी.
अच्छा.
उनका भी था. हाँ, it wasn't just this joke. It was also that. And I'm like, नहीं, I'm neither one of those things. It's just my name. And it's a play on words.
I get the play on words.
मतलब मैं सिर्फ समझा रहा हूँ.
हाँ, समझ गई. मैं पहुंच गई.
आप पहुंच गई.
मैं पहुंच गई.
आप-
तुम टेंशन ना लो.
थोड़ा टाइम लगा आपको. कन्वेंस थोड़ी स्लो थी.
नहीं. मैं पहुंच गई.
अल्लाह माफ करे. Pia, I just don't want to talk while you're drinking so that we can get the gulps on audio. There's no gulps on audio.
Man, so the problem is that my internal thermostat is completely fucked up.
Why?
So either I'm sweating or feeling cold, and
Are you
this
feeling
does
cold
not
right now?
help. No, I'm not feeling cold.
अभी तो
right
ठीक हो
now.
ना?
अभी ठीक हूँ. इसलिए मैं पानी पी रही हूँ.
अच्छा, एक्चुअली आपने इतनी अथॉरिटी के साथ बोला, मुझे एक्चुअली लगा कि इंटरनल थर्मोस्टेट होता है और वो फक्ड अप भी है. I was just like, क्या? ये क्या हो गया? नहीं, but it's getting crazy. I just hope we don't get rain like last time. बहुत खतरनाक हो गया था.
Yeah.
Were you here?
So, yeah, I was here.
Uh-huh.
But I was gonna say that, did you read the news? Or did you hear about the cyclone that was supposed to hit?
It was supposed to hit today.
Yeah.
So are we on
But we're
borrowed time or
saved.
क्या scene है?
No, we
no.
were saved.
Okay, alhamdulillah.
It changed direction.
Last minute.
So what happened was, I woke
Astaghfirullah.
up in the morning, and this was yesterday, and Ghazal goes like, Faryal, there's a cyclone coming, da, 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 and she's all like panicky about it, and I'm like, nahi aa raha, nahi hoga. And she's like, what do you mean? How can you say that with so much
Just
conviction?
confidence.
Google to karo. And I'm like, nahi hoga. And she's like, how can you see that? I'm like, bus, I can't take more.
No,
Kabhi
you
COVID, kabhi ye, kabhi wo.
exactly.
Nahi aa raha
You
cyclone,
have
bata
to,
rahi hu.
yeah, but
Yeah.
it's one of those defense mechanisms. और ये बड़ा, I think it's one of the better ones.
मैंने खेली.
हाँ, मैंने
खेली.
I'm just gonna do me.
Yeah.
अगर साइक्लोन आएगा, साइक्लोन से आप लड़ तो सकते नहीं हो.
Exactly.
आएगा तो
That's
आएगा, क्या
exactly
करोगे
that.
आप?
What are you going to do?
You can't let it, or not can't, that's a value judgment, but there are people who don't let it paralyze them.
Yeah, because what else are you going to do, right? इतनी anxieties पाली हुई हैं अपनी ज़िंदगी में. I don't have space in my head to give, a cyclone that much attention.
You know, it's beautiful when they start naming cyclones. I wonder what it's called if it's whimsical like this. Mubashir?
Why Mubashir?
I don't
Aren't they always named after women or something?
They are, and that's kind of sexist too. I mean, I want a cyclone named after a man. I mean, representation honi chahiye.
You think it's sexist towards men? Is that a thing?
It's no. But yeah, देखो, Sindh की तरफ आ रहा था. I think you should get a Sindhi name, or she, or whatever. Sakina.
Is that a Sindhi name?
Sakina's a Sindhi name, yeah.
What does it
Sakina.
mean?
I think it means darling, truthful, darling in that observant way, like darling in that ये बातें मानती है. Sakina, I think. I might be completely off on this. I don't know. Tasneem's a Sindhi name.
Tasneem.
Tasneem.
I've never heard that name.
Yeah.
That is a nice name.
Yeah, it's a beautiful name. Tasneem. But do we call the cyclone Tasneem?
Sure.
Yeah. Cyclone Tasneem missed us today. And alhamdulillah, now we're here. What's it?
Or we would be underwater.
Huh? Yeah. Anxieties की जो आपने बात की ना, so here's what's interesting. According to psychodynamic theory, जो अपने फ्रॉइड भाई थे, पता है आपको? फ्रॉइड भाई जो थे, according to
बाजू
him,
में रहते हैं
हाँ जी,
मेरे।
आपके तो हाँ ना, आप वहीं तो बैरिया पे तो सही 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 सही। जो वो थे फ्रॉइड भाई थे, he was under the impression कि anxieties are actually things that will never go away. And anxieties are things that you can't fight and they're unconscious. So
Okay.
he propagated the triad. He's like the id, the ego, and the superego. He's like जो आपकी ego होती है ना, not him himself, लेकिन जो उसके उनके बाद जो उनके students थे उनने ये बोला कि जो ego होती है ना, it becomes aware of anxieties unconsciously and starts fighting them unconsciously as well.
Okay.
Right? So your defense mechanisms is your ego fighting your anxieties. आपको सिर्फ defense mechanisms नजर आते हैं. But it's actually your ego fighting your anxieties. Your anxieties will never go away. Your ego will never stop fighting them.
Right.
The only thing you can do is regulate your defense mechanisms. So if your defense mechanism is denial, मतलब
It's not my defense.
किसी हद तक मुनासिब है.
Conscious denial.
किसी हद तक मुनासिब है, लेकिन ऐसे नहीं करना कि वो बाहर खड़ा हो और आप सकीना बाहर खड़ी हो और आप
No,
बोल रहे हो.
actually, I'm very I absorb a lot of anxiety and
Absorb it.
Yeah, on a day-to-day basis. So I think my coping mechanism definitely isn't denial.
What is it then? What do you think it is?
I think I overthink a lot, and I think of different possibilities, what can happen.
That's
and
horrible.
I try, yeah, and
Very bad for you.
yeah, and I exactly. This is why I said many Kelly when she said
मैं
cyclone.
खेल ही नहीं रही हूँ बस. Academization
yeah.
is what that is.
There is a capacity
Mhm.
that every human being has,
Mm.
right? So you can't to give yourself and your brain a break. But I think anxiety is nothing more than it's just something to keep you on your toes,
Yes.
to keep you alert,
It's
right?
not a
It's
bad
your
thing, no,
mind's
no.
way of telling you that there is a threat or there is danger.
Yes.
So that your fight and flight or flight response kicks in, basically.
Yeah, that's it.
But it's just that when it's out of control and your brain is playing a dirty trick on you, when there isn't a real threat, but it perceives it as a threat bigger than it is, that's when you start to have an anxiety attack or panic attack.
तो क्या होता है कि आपकी जो anxieties होती है ना, Freud again said कि जो सबसे ज़्यादा खतरनाक anxiety होती है, you actually develop it when you're not even a year old. Annihilation anxiety, or he called it automatic anxiety. It's literally based in your mom not picking you up when you wanted to be picked up as a kid.
Right.
Right? तो उस वक्त तो आपकी दुनिया खत्म हो रही होती है. You carry that the rest of, if you don't, his theory, Freud भाई अपने, his theory is that if you don't develop properly, huh?
Freud.
Freud, आपको तो पता है फिर. Freud जो है, his theory is that if you don't develop out of the psychosexual developmental stages properly, you carry that annihilation anxiety all the way into your adulthood.
Right.
तो फिर मतलब कोई छोटी सी भी चीज़ हो, खुदा ना खास्ते anxiety disorders होते हैं, कोई छोटी सी भी चीज़ हो, you could be feeling like पूरी दुनिया खत्म हो रही है अभी. Do you know what I mean? Isn't that freaky?
Sure. It is.
Your
That is
deadpan is
it.
just beautiful right now.
Sorry?
Your deadpan expression is just beautiful right now. Very
No,
interesting.
because anxiety is something that, I've faced on a day-to-day basis. And it's much more manageable for me now, but this hits home. So it's not that it's deadpan. It's like, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I feel,
Keep going.
I resonate.
Yeah.
You said it's something that you deal with on a daily basis. Is that because of your work?
No, not because of my work, but generally, I think I've suffered from anxiety all my life. And different forms of it.
Sure, of course.
There's been social anxiety, right?
100%.
Crippling social anxiety at a
Allah raham
point,
kare.
right? I think. But of course, like you said, it's all about your coping mechanism, right? Your defense mechanism.
Sure.
The way I look at it, I call it managing that anxiety. So.
Fair. Was it, so, अब crippling की जहाँ बात आई, was it ever a problem to get people to understand that it's crippling, social anxiety? Because people, लोग क्या बोलते हैं, ड्रामे ना करो. That's the kind of rhetoric that comes out.
Sure, I don't think I ever spoke about it or expressed it, so I don't think I gave anyone the chance to deny my truth.
Right.
Because I don't think I ever spoke about it.
No. So, okay, but wasn't that more difficult?
I think I was in denial.
You were in denial. कुछ नहीं है, सब सही है. मर्द बनो. Oh wait.
yeah,
Oh,
no,
wait.
kind of, right.
But on average or in general, do you not see that the conversations around mental health issues, anxiety in particular, but generally all mental health issues, is getting better? It is getting better.
There's definitely a lot more conversation going on. But does conversation really mean things are getting better?
No, maybe they don't. And the
Yeah.
problem is,
I think there is more need for awareness because we're actually, like, mental health generally is getting worse,
it is getting worse.
right?
It is getting worse. Yes, yes. ये तो
And especially with the rise of social media and like having information literally at our fingertips
yeah.
at any given time.
Yeah.
I feel like our anxiety and our generally our panic is at an all-time high. Stress levels are at an all-time high.
Sadness.
Which is
Sadness and
depression.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that awareness is in fact catching up slower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Using that, yes.
Yeah. There's
आपका जो वो है, जो आपका हार्डवेयर है, वो तो लिमिटेड है वैसे, right? So there is something to be said about taking a break from social media on a daily basis. क्योंकि मैंने, I don't know where I read this and I will not, I don't know, this is not a fact, but because I
Right.
can't quantify it, कि आपका जो वो है, scrolling on Facebook leads to, like, there's been, I think there's been studies done that say that it leads to actual increase in rates of depression.
yeah, I'm sure.
Just scrolling, like, I mean, I don't even
I'm
understand.
sure because you're just. Have you ever noticed that when you're lying down in bed, you're just scrolling. You're not actually just even consuming
No.
what's there.
No.
It's just literally the
It's just
action.
the next hit. Just the next
It's
hit,
just
yeah.
maybe you're not even reading what's on the screen.
No, probably not. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just become this sort of habit. It's literally habitual. So
अब क्या करें फरियाद?
it's strange, right?
फोन सारे बंद कर दें. सारे फोन बंद कर दें. Go out in nature.
Yes, coming. Oh, this could be the conclusion.
This could be the conclusion of the
So
podcast.
the software engineer
Software engineer.
leaves programming, advises everybody to turn off their phones.
Turn off their phones and embrace nihilism. No? Yes?
That's off the podcast.
That's after the
We're not
podcast.
talking
Sorry,
about nihilism
sorry. No,
on
no.
the podcast.
No, no.
We decided not to talk about
No.
nihilism.
Okay, we're wrong, man.
Yeah. It can get dark. It can get dark.
If it gets dark, it gets dark. Allah Rahm karega. But what you're saying is embrace nature and stay away from. Try to stay away from social media. यार देखो मेरा तो काम ही social media पे मैं क्या करूँ?
It's just all about balance, dude.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying that you need to go cold turkey,
Mm-hmm.
but you need to limit.
Hmm.
What I've done personally is that I only stick to one platform. I deleted Snapchat, I deleted Facebook, I deleted Twitter. I don't go on these platforms anymore because it was a source of toxic energy for me.
Toxic energy.
Yeah.
You want to speak about that? Why toxic?
Especially with Twitter.
Twitter to is. Twitter
You
to
understand.
Is.
Like, I don't have to elaborate on that.
No,
like, I think
Twitter to
everyone
is.
understands.
Twitter पे तो सब बैठे ही इसलिए हैं.
With Facebook also, I feel like it was a different kind of toxic energy. You just, I was coming across like a lot of bad news.
All the time.
And
yeah.
I feel like I'm very easily affected by that. I do think of myself as an
all
empath.
that stuff with
right?
Palestine and
Yeah,
all that
exactly.
stuff.
And I'm very easily disturbed by
Okay,
these
yeah,
things, right?
Yeah.
Not to say that we shouldn't obviously be aware about it. We shouldn't turn a blind eye to it.
No.
But again, it's all about control. There's only so much you can do.
There's only so much you can do. Whatever
There's
you
only
can do,
so much you
do
can
it and then
do
yeah.
it and then
What else can you do?
Yeah, what else can you do?
What
Take
else
a
can you do?
break.
Allah Rahm karega. So okay, so Facebook gone, Twitter gone. So I suppose the only thing left to do is plug your Instagram. No. You have the
Yeah.
Tech Bakery.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about that.
Yeah,
Come
we
on
didn't
now.
talk about the Tech
Yeah,
Bakery. So that's just a blog that was literally just born out of mania and nothing else. I was feeling manic and I'm like, I want to do something.
Yeah.
So I thought, and I don't know where the name also just came from.
मुझे लगा आप bakery खोल रहे हो सीधी बात.
Yeah, I know you got confused, right?
I
No,
messaged you. I was
no.
like, cake बनाएंगे आप भी.
The idea was that it's freshly baked.
Technology.
Yeah.
Ah, cool.
Because tech always has to, the whole essence of technology is that it has to be up to date.
Cutting edge, yes.
Cutting edge, right?
Yes.
Right. Can't be
So it's
innovative.
just a blog.
It's a blog. I'm not really sure where I want to take it. First, I'm doing a little bit of product reviews. I also do a little bit of programming rants and stuff. I did one tutorial. I shared that. I linked my dev profile in there.
Developer profile.
Yeah,
got you.
yeah. So the dev community. That's,
Developer community.
Yeah.
Dev.
So I'm sure people can fill in the
I know.
blanks what dev is.
I know.
I'm not really sure where I want to take the tech bakery eventually, but it is something that I just turn to when I feel like I want to do some me time.
But you were never a
Yeah.
bad writer. So for all the other stuff that you've tried, you were also like, I don't know why ye stereotype hai ki if you're towards the sciences, then automatically writing up
In fact, that's what I wrote in my bio for the tech bakery. I said it's the dichotomy of my life. It's the empath and the rational. Because these are two sides of me, and I've always struggled with this sort of contradiction.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy art, I enjoy painting, writing, and a lot of engineers do actually. A lot of scientists in history have such a strong appreciation. They've been patrons of the arts, right?
Wow.
But I think
No one knows.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
People don't hear it.
not that they don't hear it. I just feel like we're just used to thinking in binaries like gray and blacks, or left brain, right brain.
Sure.
People don't think that there could be two sides to you,
Mhm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or
So
more
there
than.
could be creativity in science,
Sure.
and there is, right? What is curiosity?
Curiosity, yes. Sure. It's the pursuit. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what I think.
So that's what you think. That's what Faryal thinks, guys. Tech bakery.
Yeah.
But you don't want to plug in your personal thing, personal Instagram. उसको छोड़ देते हैं.
ये कर लो फेल अब स्मोकी कौन आएगा मुझे
Yeah.
फॉलो करने इन 10 व्यूज में से
क्या खुदा को मारो यार. Be hopeful at least. Behral, Faryal, it's been fun. Let's do this again with the cartoons. You were saying we need to do the cartoons.
Yeah, we need to put cartoons
Just
here.
put cartoons on and then
Yeah.
comment on them.
Yes.
Ji bilkul.
I think that's a brilliant idea
What
for a
cartoon?
podcast.
What cartoon do we start with?
What cartoons do you like?
Yeah, I like cartoons generally.
Yeah.
I like animes also, cartoons, everything.
Okay, start with anime then.
What anime would you like to start?
I don't know. I don't watch anime, man.
Why are you even suggesting this? What cartoon?
The
do you...
one anime I've ever watched in my life is Death Note.
Death Note is good. Death Note is good.
Yeah, Death Note laga.
We can do Death Note next time. So next time you're on, we'll just do Death Note, and there'll be no. मतलब I don't know. I suppose उसमें भी बहुत academic गुफ्तगू तो होती है. Right?
I don't know.
होती है यार.
Ah,
Did you watch all of it?
I did.
So he's talking about nihilism and existentialism. And,
You're right,
You
actually.
know,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
taking
yeah,
about talking about all
Yeah.
the
Full deep hai.
No, full deep hai, moral philosophy. Anyways, Faryal Zuberi, Kazi Akbar. Assalamu alaikum.